Hello and welcome to the Sun Times Online Desi Martini. My name is Sandeep, and today I have with me three special guests. One is an actor who has managed to carve a niche for himself in the industry with the varied roles that he's been a part of, Mr. Kunal Khenu. The other, a diminutive, petite, pretty, and a powerhouse of a performer, Ms. Rasika Duggal, and an actor who doesn't require any introduction at all, Mr. Ranvir Shorey. Hello to all the three of you.
सिंपल में निपटा दिया
क्या हुआ?
अभी इधर टाइम वेस्ट नहीं करता हूँ. इसको इंट्रोडक्शन की जरूरत नहीं है. ये इसको सब जानते हैं.
All right. Actually, I mean, you are a wonderful performer. That's the reason why I said you require no introduction at all. It's not what he said. All right. So, Kunal, I'll begin with you.
Yes.
You have been a part of the film industry for a long time. You have been facing the camera from your childhood. So, since then to this very day, what is the difference that you call out in yourself and the kind of films that you choose?
Well, if I compare myself when I was like 6 and I did Hame Rahi Pyar Ke, things have obviously changed so much. I mean, not just the technique of making films, the makers in themselves. In fact, when I debuted with Kalyug in 2005, I saw I'd never seen like a video assist. I didn't know what that was. And then we moved to digital cameras, whereas I was used to seeing a director stand right next to a camera. And then they became silent cameras. I mean, earlier there used to be a big sound that used to happen, and a lot of times I found kind of peace in that, the sound would happen.
Draws attention.
Yeah, and then you would be like focused, and then suddenly it was silence and sync sound. So all of that technique changed, and obviously for me at that point to make the transition from being a child actor on a set and then kind of being the leading man in a film like Kalyug, that took about about a week or 10 days, because here was Ashutosh Rana that I'd worked with in Dushman, where he was the villain, and here I was supposed to beat him up in a scene. So that transition took a little bit of time, but then of course I found my bearings, and it's been a very interesting journey ever since. I did like different kinds of work. When I did Kalyug and Traffic Signal, people just thought that I was going to do serious films, and like that was my image. So I had to break away from that by doing a film like Dhol. And then once you did a comedy, then I just started doing a string of comedies, and Kalank was a break from that. And now I'm back to a film like Lootcase that I so love and I enjoyed being a part of.
You mean you love the genre?
I love the genre and I love the film that Lootcase is, and I really enjoyed being a part of this film and playing Nandan, the character that I play in the film, and working with these immensely talented actors who've just helped me also look better in so many places.
Rasika, you tell me, from being a mathematics, a BSc in mathematics, and then going on to doing Polytechnic, and then an FTII student, what exactly, I mean, since when did you actually harbor the idea of becoming an actor, harbor the wish to become an actor?
Actually, only once I was in the Film Institute. I had no, unlike my other classmates who had, most of them had desired to be actors since they were young or since they were children. I had no such ideas because it was not my world at all. Nobody in my family has ever been associated with the film industry, and that was not something that I had even thought of acting. I hadn't even thought of acting as a career option, But I was just sort of doing things that I found fun at that time. I had done a fair amount of theatre when I was in Delhi University, and I found that fun. And then when FTI was restarting their acting course, I said, "Chalo, apply kar lete, dekhte hain, maza aayega." That kind of an attitude. Still no idea that this is going to be a career, or I wasn't taking myself seriously or anything. I just said, "Chalo," and I'd heard a lot about the Film Institute, and I'd met a lot of people from there. I was very mesmerized by the idea of the institute more than being an actor. And I was like, oh, this used to be Prabhat Studios at one time, and it has a legacy, and everybody in the film industry at one point was from there. So I said, chalo, dikhte hain, maza aa jayega 2 saal mein. But once I was in the institute in about 6 months, I think I really felt connected with what I was doing, and I was like, this is it.
Okay. So do you think that, the choice of films that you have and the kind of films that you've been a part of, is that to a certain extent influenced by the background that you had in the Film Institute, especially because the fact that, in film institutes we know that the kind of films that are shown as part of the curriculum kind of influence the mind of the person who's a part of it?
When I came to Bombay, everybody was like, oh, you're the FTII type and you're going to do those kind of films. And I sort of wanted to consciously break away from that. But I didn't ever get cast in commercial films. It was not a choice I made. It's just that I got other film offers which were more interesting. And the kind of roles that I had been offered in commercial films were very insignificant and small, and I was not interested in doing that. So yeah, it just happened like that. It wasn't a conscious decision. I would still like to do a lot of different different kinds of films and work with different kinds of people, because every new experience sort of throws something new at you and it challenges you as a working person and as an actor. So yeah.
And you tell me,
My questions, so everybody already knows all my answers. So it's fine. They've already done.
Well, Ranvir, I have something very important to ask you, actually. The thing is, you have been a part of cinema, which is actually very meaningful. You have been a part of films that have kind of a different. It's. I mean, it would be an exaggeration to call it a middle of the road cinema, for that matter. So, what exactly do you actually look for in a particular role whenever you, say yes to it?
Let me answer this question in 2 words.
Okay.
It needs to be different, the part, and it needs to be meaningful. That's it. Those are the only 2 things I look for.
And at the same time, when you say that, do you personally, can you like differentiate between a commercial cinema or a middle of the road cinema or not cinema per se?
I've never really cared about that because I've never really done outright like full-on mainstream films, and I don't think I've done the other extreme also, full-on art house film. So for me that doesn't matter, mainstream and all. What matters is the script, the part, and the director. That's it.
Co-actors.
Then maybe the money.
Then maybe the money, exactly. That's the most crucial part, actually. Kunal, you tell me, your last film Kalang didn't quite do well in the box office. How much important is it for you? I mean, the box office success is important for you. How much?
It's very important for everybody. I mean, that's the way that you keep getting work, and that's how you keep working and doing the kind of films that you want to do and that have audiences. So box office, unfortunately or fortunately, is the report card that kind of is the most important in every actor's life.
What about you?
I have no rishta with the box office.
Yes, exactly. Especially you have the rishta with good cinema, for that matter.
So I hope that this would establish a good connection with the box office.
What about
or
you?
At least introduce me to it.
I think for me it's somewhere in the middle, which is that it is important, but it's not
The whole
the all of it. Yeah, I mean, there's cinema is not just about how much money it makes. There are many other things which one tries to achieve by making a film.
When we talk about cinema, it's predominantly an art form. When we see the commercialization of it, how much of it affects you as individuals and as creative beings, for that matter?
But what does commercialization mean? I think we are in this business because at the end of the day, that's what's paying everybody's bills, who's going to be associated with it. We are going to develop stuff that has a market out there for people to watch. We do have the onus on us and responsibilities on us to sometimes not just milk that only one thing that's working and just keep doing that time and again. That's the other thing. But other than that, I think it needs to be commercial. If it's not commercial, how will we actually live our lives and pay our bills? Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, like he said, there's an attempt to make good cinema work and make it more, find the right audience for it and market it well and make those things work rather than not treat it as a business at all. That's not, I think, not always what we do.
And what about you, Ranvir?
I don't know, for me, I don't think cinema is essentially just an art form. I think it's a mix of arts and entertainment. And when you bring in entertainment, a certain commercial angle does come into play. So for me, it's middle ground, which is that it's a combination of art and entertainment. So you need to achieve both when you make cinema.
Tell me something about your role in Lootcase.
In Lootcase, I play, you would say, somewhat of a grey character. More, I would say, towards the darker side than the whiter side. And I play a cop who is also hunting for the
Red briefcase.
Lootcase. Lootcase. Yeah, to be summed up as Lootcase. And so I mean, you can say that these two are the focal point, central characters of the film, and around them there are people, around these three actually. Around these three, the rest of the characters kind of revolve around these three. So me, Vijay, Gajraj, we are all kind of going around.
You've got to tell me what is there in this briefcase.
I mean, you saw a glimpse of what there is, which was money. But besides that, there is something else in this suitcase, which you would actually find
Around
out.
that, the mystery revolves.
bag mein kuch kala hai.
All right. Rasika, you tell me. With the kind of films that you've been a part of, I mean, this is a paradigm shift for that matter. So, how did it sink in? Did it?
Oh, I was very happy for a change because I'd been working on some very serious material, which was good, but
It was
I
lovely.
think I needed a break from it. So this was a very welcome relief.
Okay, so this you just treated this as a break.
Yeah, it was a vacation for me.
All right. Finally, to all the three of you, you've got to tell me, when, especially because all the three of you have been a part of roles which are very serious, which actually require an actor to delve completely into the character, to be one with the character. So, how long, as actors, do all of you take to kind of get into the character and then snap out of it? I mean, does it happen whenever the director calls a cut?
I mean, mostly it does, depending on what part you're playing. I mean, sometimes if you're playing an intense part, you kind of still want to be in that mood after the director calls cut because that scene is still not over, that shot is over. So you try to keep yourself in the same mind frame. But other than that, mostly for me, it's on and off. I mean, you kind of go there, you do your thing, and after cut, you're Kunal again. And only between action and cut, you're the character that you're playing.
What about you, Rasika?
I don't think it's so conscious for me. I don't know when I'm in, when I'm out, and all of that. And I want to keep it like that because I think if you're so conscious of the work that you do, then it loses the
But are you
magic.
serious? Because when I saw Hamid, I was like, you're completely, forever you're into that part.
I think it's something that you realize later, and I don't think as actors we should become so conscious of our way of working because it really then removes the magic of it. If you can be so conscious of whether I'm in or out or not and all that, I don't even want to get into analyzing it or understanding it for that matter. I just try and be there as much as I can when I'm shooting, but I really don't know how much it's affected me or what impact it's going to have on me or how much impact I have had on it. I don't know.
So you mean you don't really take your roles back home? It's just there in the studio?
No, I don't know how much I take back or I don't. I'm not so conscious of it and I don't want to be also. I think that's a very self-conscious way of working which I don't want to do.
Yeah, coming out is easy. Coming out because getting in is the problem, and I think that depends on what kind of part and what kind of scene you're doing that day. If it's a really intense part or an intense scene, it takes longer to get into it. But if it's not, then it doesn't take that much effort or time. So it depends on what the job is like.
So with that, we come to the end of this lovely conversation with the three of them. My name is Sandeep with Hindustan Times Online, DC Martini. Thank you so much.